Yo! What is up, guys? Nick Nakai here, Let's Drift Media. Thank you for coming back to the channel, or if it's your first time here, welcome on in. So on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about my top 5 regrets in my 10 years as being a mechanic, from working in the dealership, going to school, everything, to where I'm at now, and 5 things that I wish I'd done differently going through this journey. So hopefully you guys can learn a thing or two. Let's get started. So if you are an experienced technician, mechanic, do me a favor, drop a comment. How many years you've been in the industry? What do you do? And maybe some tips or advice or regrets that you have, things that you've learned going through the field. 'Cause a lot of my viewers go down and read the comments, and it's really helpful, guys. So I appreciate all you guys who drop a comment on any of my videos, help out other guys. All right, well, first thing, kind of get this one out of the way. I guess I won't put this in the top 5, but really this one always hits the heart, is I wish I filmed more YouTube content while working in Toyota. This was something I was kind of like afraid to do because it was like for job security reasons. I didn't want to get in trouble and possibly get fired or even have Toyota come cracking down on me. But looking through my YouTube videos, a lot of my videos that performed the best were filmed while I was working at Toyota. Whether it be the day in the life videos, the DIY videos I've done, or even just videos about work at work, like being at work, filming at work. The dealerships are very laid back with that, at least where I was working at, and I really just wish I filmed a lot more content for you guys. I know the day in the life videos are like the biggest videos on my channel, and you guys love them the most, and everyone wants to see them, and I really just wish I filmed a whole lot more at work, because it's what the people want. So that's definitely a big regret there. Think about that all the time. First big regret I have working all those years in the dealership would be not taking as much diagnostic work working in the dealership. Being flat rate in the dealership, my goal was just flag as many hours as I can, and a lot of the times when I had the chance to like maybe struggle a little bit and get a hard diag car, I would get it, of course, if I had to, if it was given to me, but I wish I took like the really headache cars just to kind of sharpen my skills and get better at diag. That's one thing working in the dealership. I feel like you don't really have to do much diag because a lot of it's just like shotgun apart, everything's under warranty, at least as far as what I've seen working in the dealership. But yeah, that's just one thing I wish I did a lot more, because I just would have been a whole lot more confident in my skills now had I had gone through so much of the headache on some of these cars that I could have had the chance to learn something from. Because at the end of the day, anybody could change parts. All these recalls, gravy work, all the stuff that really makes the hours usually, it's like parts changing stuff. I would say I got very, very well at changing parts at a fast pace, pulling out motors, doing transmissions, just R&Ring parts. But at the end of the day, anyone could change parts. So definitely would say if you are young getting into this, obviously on the loop rack, you're not really gonna have a chance for that. But once you get on the line, I wouldn't focus all on the hours. Like take those headache cars that nobody else wants to work on, because at the end of the day, you're gonna learn from it and it's gonna better you in the future, because you may run into a similar problem, something like that later on down the road, and it's gonna be like a piece of cake because you've already ran through that before. So just one thing I wish I did a lot more of when I was at the dealership. Next regret I have is I wish I didn't buy so much Snap-on, Cornwell, Matco, Mac, big name brand tools. Starting off in the field, I kind of like, when I was a loop tech, I had my student discount, so I guess it wasn't that bad buying Snap-on, but it was still very expensive for a lot of Snap-on things. And I just wish I didn't focus so much on the brand versus the tools I actually needed, because coming now, I have quite a few high-end Snap-on tools that I'm just like, why the hell did I spend 500, 1,000 bucks on these tools? And it's just like, they sit in my toolbox. I use them once in a blue moon. Like for example, I bought a Snap-on compression tester and leak down tester because I kept borrowing my stallmates tool. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just buy it. And then I buy it, and then I maybe used it like one more time working in the dealership. Obviously I left, but still, certain tools like that, it's like, if you're only gonna use it like once in a blue moon, like maybe once or twice a year, It just like makes no sense to ball out and spend all this hard-earned money you have on Snap-on, or even go into debt on the tool truck. And that doesn't go for just like those tools. There's a lot of stuff like even sockets, wrenches, pliers, power tools. There's just a lot of things where it's just like, it's so expensive on the tool truck, and that tool is not going to make you any more money versus you going and buying a Milwaukee tool, or even Harbor Freight Icon hand tools. A lot of those tools are really great tools. Some of them aren't the best, I'll give it that. But there's a lot of them that you don't have to buy the high-end tools. So if you're starting off new to the industry, just starting to build your tool collection, do not waste all your money just to get the name brand stuff. I'm talking even the box. You guys know I have my big 73-inch Snap-on. If I could go back now, I probably would have bought a US General, because those boxes work freaking great. They last a really long time, and they're a fraction of the cost. So definitely don't go into debt just thinking like, I'm gonna have the best tools, I'm gonna be the technician or the best technician. I've said this a million times, the tools don't make the technician. Next regret is I wish I was more selfish when working at the dealership. I don't know if this sounds kind of messed up or not, but for me, when I was working in the dealership, yes, my goal was to flag as many hours, but then once you start becoming that guy who's flagging a ton of hours, you start getting a lot more hate on you, like, oh, this guy's getting gravy, this guy's getting fed. I probably was getting fed, I'll even admit it, but that kind of like deterred me from working as hard. Or maybe I had like a lot of gravy and I saw someone else who didn't have as much. Like, if they were just sitting around, I'd be like, hey dude, like, you want this brake job? Like, just because I felt bad for them sitting around. But then now I think about it, it's like someone once told me, like, dude, you go to work to make money, not make friends. And I just wish I got, honestly, I don't know if it's even fucked up to say this, but I wish I was more greedy working in the dealership. I feel like I was a little bit too nice, even when it came to charging my labor, quoting my labor. I feel like I was a little bit too nice, and I could have made a whole lot more money had I been a little bit more selfish. So that's one thing too. I see a lot of these newer techs getting on the line, or not a lot, I know a couple actually that just got on the line, and they're flagging a ton of hours because they're getting really easy work because they're new on the line. So they're getting brake jobs, major services, you know, coolant flush, trans flush, all fluid flushes, easy stuff, alignments, you name it. You guys know what the gravy is. I'm sure you've heard that term before. And then I've had them come up to me pretty much and tell me like, hey dude, like, everyone's like, the whole shop's like just talking shit on me. Like, everyone's hating on me because like I'm flagging all these hours, and like they're just saying I get fed. And I'll just tell them straight up, like, dude, like, fuck what they say. Like, of course they're gonna hate on you. You're making hours, they're not. But at the end of the day, you go there for a paycheck. So if you are in that situation where you're getting a lot of easy work and able to flag a lot of hours, take advantage of it, because it is not always going to be like that. I realized that very quickly. As soon as I got my Toyota Master status, I noticed the level of difficulty of work I started to get, or as far as like gravy work, started going down a lot less versus like when I just started at that dealership. I was able to flag a ton of hours before, once obviously newer techs start coming in, a lot of that easy work starts going to them, and then you start getting a lot more of that difficult work, which, like I was saying earlier, is good because you become a better technician. But when you're trying to flag hours and you're stuck on this car warranty that you're maybe going to get like an hour for finally figuring out to please this customer, the technician next to you might be getting fed all these brake jobs and services, and he's already at like 8 hours before lunchtime. It won't always be like that. So if you are in that situation, just grab the bull by the horns and ride it out. Next regret I have is I wish I would have went fleet sooner. Working as an hourly fleet mechanic right now in the diesel industry, the job is union, so everything's all based on seniority. So now getting into this job, being at 30 years old already, my time starts now, and pretty much everything in the company when it comes to promoting, changing locations, changing even jobs, everything in this company is based on time, years you've had in the company. So, I mean, I still feel like I got in at a pretty young age, but just knowing that now, I'm like, God damn, like I wish, honestly, I never even went to the dealership. I wish I just went straight to fleet, like as soon, even out of high school even, or as soon as I finished my auto tech class and had all my ASCs, but you know, it is what it is. So we're not really gonna count that, but that is one regret I definitely have. The last regret I have, this one's definitely an overlooked thing, is I wish I didn't ruin my driving record. I ruined my driving record when I was about 20 years old, I wanna say, 20, 21. I got a reckless driving ticket for street drifting. So basically I had 2 points on my record. I've talked about this before, but the thing that screwed me is it stayed on my record for about 4 years. I don't know, it's been so long. It was 4 or 5 years. And having that kind of infraction on your driving record really screws you up when it comes to being an automotive technician. A lot of these shops, they have to have an insurance policy that can insure all the mechanics to drive customer vehicles. And as soon as I got that reckless driving ticket, it was like, you're uninsurable. And at the time I was on the lube rack, so that pretty much just screwed me over to moving up to a tech. Like I could have been a tech so much sooner. Instead, I had to wait that 4 or 5 years for the points to fall off. And I was just stuck on the lube rack making terrible wages. And I feel like my whole career just pretty much got set back that many years because I was being young and dumb and messing around on the streets trying to be a cool boy. So word of advice, guys, if you guys are young and getting into this industry, or even if you're not young, do not mess up your driving record. Keep it clean because it has a big effect when it comes to your work. You may not realize it now, but once it happens, say even a DUI, it's like, it could be the end for you. Like you could even get fired from a lot of these places. You get stuff like that on your records. So just something to think about that I feel like I don't really mention too much, but it is very important. So yeah, that's pretty much my top regrets that I have within these past 10 years working in the automotive industry. I hope you guys learned something from here. Hope you guys can pick up some tips and advice down in the comments even. But that's all I got for you guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. We got some awesome product giveaways coming up you guys don't want to miss. So catch you guys later. Peace!